Our next discussion is a fireside chat, which we have Mr. Sanjay Jain, Director DPI Division at Gates Foundation, and Mr. Bhuvnesh Kumar, CEO UIDAI and NISG. They will talk about the India story and the plans that UIDAI have for Aadhar. As you all know, Aadhar is the biggest digital ID system in the world, more than 1 billion plus IDs and multi-billion authentications happening almost every year. So over to you, Sanjay and Mr. Bhuvnesh Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today on the stage. As I think Rohit was mentioning, and all of us know, Aadhar is the sort of the largest biometric ID in the world, and it's very good to have you here. And I think we also heard earlier from UIDAI, where he mentioned that the journey is not done with the creation of the system. So Aadhar has been imagining itself over the last many years, in the last few years under your leadership. So we wanted to understand from you what the changes are. So many of the folks in the room who are sort of setting up ID systems can get an idea of how things evolve over a period of time.
Thank you, Sanjay. First of all, let me thank MOSIP, IIT Bangalore, Kingdom of Morocco for organizing this magnificent edition of the third version of MOSIP Connect and inviting me over here. Really thank you for giving this opportunity. Aadhar, most of the people who are here would have heard about it, and the scale at which it operates is obviously unparalleled because of the population size of India. So before I answer your question, let me set the scale at which we operate. So we started working in 2010, and we celebrated our 16th Aadhar Day this year. We have generated 1.43 billion Aadhars till now. So 1,430,000,000 Aadhars have been generated. In spite of the fact that 99.9% of the adult population is saturated, we still add children to the population, and every day we get about 70,000 plus new enrollments happening, which comes to about 22 million every year. So that is the total new number which is added to Aadhar every year. So we're talking about annual additions of 22 million. And then we talk about authentications. So we do about 90 million authentications per day. And of the 90 million authentication that we do per day, 10 million authentications are face authentications. So that is the scale at which we operate. And the system has stabilized over the years. We had many issues coming up because the large scale of population. As I would normally say, with about 1.4 billion people, if there is a possibility of having anything to the extent of only 1%, that's still about continues 14 million people. And if the percentage is 0.1%, even then that will go into millions. So that's the scale at which we operate. But now that Aadhar has stabilized and we are looking at few important things. The most important in my opinion is actually moving from the centralized authentication to democratization of verified credentials and giving the credentials back to the Aadhar number holder so that the Aadhar number holders can share it as per their convenience and can do selective sharing instead of having only the option of a yes-no authentication or an eKYC authentication, and the authentication request being limited by law to certain entities only and not to any and everybody that the Aadhar number holder wants to give. And that is the recent change that we have brought in, and we are calling it the Aadhar app. And the second thing which we have strengthened is the face authentication, because we have seen that the success in the biometric, the fingerprint authentication is dependent on the devices, and not everybody can have device. On the other hand, the face authentication can be done on the mobile phone, and the true sense of authentication anytime, anywhere is possible through face authentication, but not through iris and fingerprint authentication for which you need external devices. So two very important aspects, I would say, face authentication and democratization of verified credentials through the Aadhar app.
So, and as you mentioned biometrics, you highlighted that, Aadhar being the world's largest biometrics program, you also mentioned how we are improving the access to that through the devices, through face, rather get away from the limitations of the device access, you're bringing in face. What else are you thinking about improving the efficiency of biometrics?
See, in any biometric identity, the biometrics are the soul of the ID. It's the core, it's the heart, it's the brain. So everything is biometrics. And it's very important to build that trust while you are enrolling or where you are doing authentication on both sides, that biometrics frauds are not happening. And to check the deduplication process, we have to see many kinds of challenges. And I'm sure we would be happy actually to share the kind of challenges we faced to the nations who are implementing biometric identities now, where people try to play frauds on the enrollment side by bringing in mixed biometrics, by bringing in toe prints, the prints of the fingers of the feet instead of the hands, to get duplicate IDs or second IDs. And then our system responding to that through the new models on finding the frauds in the biometric system. One of the latest which we saw, and I think it's quite interesting, maybe it will be of use to many who are sitting here. So few of the people who came to the Aadhar enrollment centers and they wanted to update their biometrics. As you know, the biometrics are clubbed together as a packet. So the fingerprints, iris and face, they are never separated. They remain together. So if you come back to update your photograph, so the fingerprints and iris is also taken together. So all the three always remain same. They cannot be separated. So what people did is, instead of giving 10 fingers of the same person, so they tried putting 9 fingers of one person and the 10th finger from another person at the time of enrollment. And of course, it is possible only with the collusion of the operator. And they succeeded in doing that, and then the candidate was supposed to appear in the examination where the biometric authentication was happening, and because of that one particular finger, single finger, which belonged to another person, somebody else appeared in the examination. Right, so impersonation, bypassing the biometric system to still do the impersonation in the examination. So that kind of things we saw, and now we are upgrading our biometric system actually to do a score-based biometric update to every single finger match updation of biometrics in the system. So that's very important aspect. And similarly on the face side also, we are continuously upgrading. We are working with the startups, academia, industry, everybody to see that the face recognition system and the presentation attacks that can be done on the face authentication side, how we overcome those challenges, because face authentication is really becoming popular. And just to give you the figures, the first 500 million or half a billion authentication, it took us about 18 months to reach there. And since then, we have been following Moore's law for every 6 months. So half a billion to 1 billion, we reached in 6 months. So 1 billion to 2 billion, we reached in 6 months. And 2 billion to 4 billion, we have reached in 6 months. So that is the pace at which the face authentication is being done. And we acknowledge that there will be people who will be trying to manipulate this or bypass this. And that's why it's important to look at the presentation attack detection in the face authentication side. And we have launched our hackathons, challenges to work on this side. And also working with the industry and academia on strengthening the biometrics. We have set up something which is known as the Aadhar Vision Committee, which is looking at the tech refresh of the whole Aadhar system, keeping in mind the next cycle, which starts from 2027 and goes up to 2032. And look at the technology which is available today, and we'll be happy to engage with people who are here and who bring technological solutions on various aspects, including AI-based solutions. And we want to bring in our partners, next phase of partners, starting 27, ending 2032 for 5 years in such a way that we remain relevant and we bring in artificial intelligence to the extent possible and ensure that we do not fall behind the curve in terms of technology in the next 5 years.
Very interesting, I think, for the audience here, because, being the largest biometric system, having run for so long, you've faced all sorts of fraud attacks and, different kinds of ways by which people try to not necessarily defraud the ID system, but use the ID system to defraud something else. And obviously the protection that is done by the ID system itself. And so I think it'd be great for that collaboration to happen. I wanted to dig deeper into the biometric DDU platform and what are the best practices that you would like to share with the world?
That's a great question, actually. That reminds me of the limitation of the ABIS we have today. The automated biometric information system is available through only 4 or 5 vendors? 5 vendors?
Yeah, we have maybe 3 running in parallel, but overall, I think over time we've seen maybe 5 or 6 vendors.
So Aadhar uses 3 ABIS providers parallelly, and we send the packet to all the 3 ABIS providers, and we match their success at the end. But fortunately, one good thing which has happened because of the experience of last 15 years, UIDAI has been able to develop an indigenous ABIS. Right, and my team tells me that it actually works better than the proprietary ABIS systems deployed and commercially hired by us under most of the circumstances, but under certain circumstances, it is not giving as good as results. So we perhaps need to fine tune it and get it evaluated, get it benchmarked, and then offer it as a product. So we would like partners to come and productionize the ABIS which has been developed by UIDAI. In fact, for our next refresh, we would be interested in using our own ABIS as one of the ABIS providers. And we look forward to partners who will come and then take this ABIS to the world and actually provide this as an ABIS. At the same time, we have set up a sandbox. And this sandbox environment is very, very important because we have the largest biometric data available to us. We have anonymized biometric data of about 20 million people. And I think that gives us the advantage of testing any kind of an ABIS vendor that we hire right at the beginning, which perhaps may not be possible for anybody else to do an evaluation of an ABIS beforehand. So you have to depend on what the claim of the ABIS provider is and accept that and change it slowly over a period of time or fine tune it over a period of time. But we have that advantage. Again, that is something we can share. We can share with the world and we can fine tune it for the requirements of the others. We also provide this sandbox to various startups and companies and entities in the financial sector and the other sectors, agriculture, education, and other sectors, to come back with their models and run their models on our data. Obviously, we don't share the data. This is data which is with us. We have anonymized that. But it is a good data to work your models and train your models on. But you cannot take the data away. You can take the results. So you bring your model, run your model, see the results, fine-tune your results, and then take the results. So that access is available. So anybody who's looking for that kind of a collaboration, UIDAI is open to that.
Yeah, the sandboxes are very exciting. And we all know that when MOSIP started, the inspiration was Aadhar. And now I think it's important to sort of come back and ask you a question on the UIDAI collaboration with MOSIP.
True. I mean, thank you for acknowledging that MOSIP inspiration is coming from Aadhar, and Aadhar was a precursor to MOSIP. But in my opinion, MOSIP happening is good for the world. Having an open source modular structure which can scale from, say, a few hundred thousands to millions of people and can provide digital identity based on biometrics without any kind of a vendor lock-in. It's a win-win for everybody. And any country, any nation who's looking for biometric identity, I would say that they should look at MOSIP as the option without going into proprietary solutions, which can become very costly if you really want to scale. We have worked with MOSIP even after that also. E-Signet, in fact, has been developed together. So UIDAI and MOSIP have worked together. E-Signet has been developed. One of the other things which has been developed together and we have accepted that is the Claim 169 QR code. And recently we have gone back to all the state governments and the central government entities and requested them actually to issue documents digitally, issue documents with QR codes, the standard being Claim 169, and also provide the APIs for access of all these documents. Because finally those address updates, the other kind of updates that are required, even for enrollment, we require the documents, the ID documents, address documents, and those are issued by multiple entities. There being 36 states and union territories in India, each one issuing 15 types of documents. And then the residents who are not Indians but foreigners, they are also eligible. So their passports, etc., being issued by other countries. We look at a list of more than 1,000 documents in all, which we have to check. And that makes the process slower because then it has to pass through a manual quality check. And that QC process makes the services slower. On the other hand, if we can get those documents issued online and with a QR code, we can automate the process. And if we can also get that APIs for all these documents from the source, then we can automate the whole process right at the client end, not necessarily at the back end. We need not bring it at the back end. So we have developed something what is called the universal client instead of the old ECMP. So universal client will be online, it will not be offline, and you can fetch the document right at from the source, right at the place of enrollment or update, and not bring it to backend, and then automate the process and give the results. With our Aadhar app, the mobile update, nowadays people tell me that it can happen in 10 minutes. And the family member based address update happens in again 15-20 minutes. So this is the kind of service we are looking at rather than taking days and months actually for providing Aadhar and their update services. So this is the future where people are looking at it.
Wonderful. I think also want to go back to the DPI story and how at the G20 India promised that you would be helping the rest of the world on DPI, and Aadhar is the original DPI, if you will. And so I think we have a stated policy now on South-South collaboration, and you are the CEO of both the UIDAI and the National Institute of Smart Governance, NISG. And I just want to understand, how are you being a part of this effort?
Thank you. Once again, thank you for asking this question. You mentioned, I think Professor Rajagopalan mentioned about the CDPI in the MOSIP at IIT Bangalore. CDPI is Center for Development of Public Infrastructure. And this DPI word got coined slightly before the G20 presidency of India, which happened 3 years ago. And then one of the agenda which came from the G20 presidency of India was the DPIs and scaling of DPIs and taking the DPIs to the world for their digital transformation. And in the same process, India is going to set up what is called the Social Impact Fund, SIF. So money is going to be allocated into the SIF, and to access money from the SIF, there is another agency which has been set up and project has been approved. It is called the ICDIA, ICDIA. ICDIA is the International Center for DPI Innovation and Advancement. So ICDIA would be supporting development of DPIs and taking the DPIs to the world. So any nation which is interested in doing a digital transformation can seek the help of ICDIA, and then ICDIA in back-to-back in turn can reach out to SIF. The countries can also reach to SIF, access funds from the SIF, and develop their own digital public infrastructure. So ICDIA has been approved. It is in the process of being set up. Manpower is being hired, those consulting people, those who will come in place. And from April onwards, April 2026 onwards, this will be fully functional, which will be implementing DPI, helping countries actually implement DPIs in their own requirements, based on their requirements. It could be identities. Identity is only one, but it could be unified payment interface. It could be like DigiLockers. It could be e-office. It could be passport, e-passport. It could be GSTN. It could actually be any kind of thing. Even the health infrastructure. We have the ABHA IDs in India, which are the health IDs. Then you have the APAR IDs in the education sector. There are platforms like Diksha, which provide courses for the students and also enable the teachers to learn. I'm happy to know that Morocco has actually adopted the Diksha and the Maharat for the learning improvement, skilling of the teachers actually. So that's a great thing to happen. So these are the kind of models which can be replicated in other countries with the help of ICDIA and the SIF. These two are very, very important beginnings that are happening in India, and the other nations can utilize these.
Now, this is great news for all the people out here because DPI is that journey started with India and has become global, and now we have so many partners who are out there contributing their own ideas to it, building what they need, and having India sort of now step up and say this is a mechanism by which we can access it is, I think, great news. It's a great welcome to this community. With that,
so, one minute more. I have my colleague Manish with me, and in fact, if any of the people who are present here, they would be interested in knowing more about ICDIA, or they have any more questions about UIDAI and Aadhar. So we have a team, and if we'll be happy to answer any of the queries, questions, or maybe give a presentation on ICDIA also. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I was going to say that you are here, the team is here, and it'll be great over the next couple of days. In fact, maybe we can even do something on the unconference day, which is the last day, where we can maybe hold a session to have more people who are interested in it. So with that, I wanted to thank you for being here with us, sir, today. It's been a great pleasure to have the UIDI join us and have you in particular be here. And thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really a privilege and honor. Thank you so much.